Marcus thought he had found the one. She said all the right things, told him she loved him, showed up to his work events, remembered his mom's birthday, even cried once during a movie they watched together. From the outside, perfect relationship. From the inside, Marcus felt like he was pressing his hands against glass. She was right there, but somehow completely unreachable. And the worst part wasn't the distance. The worst part was that he kept questioning himself. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe this is just what love looks like when it's real. Here's what nobody told Marcus, and what nobody is telling you right now. An avoidant attachment style is not about capability. It's about wiring, and someone who is wired avoidantly can absolutely perform love. They can say the words, they can do the gestures, they can even believe in some corner of their heart that they mean it. But attachment, true nervous system attachment, the kind that shapes how someone actually behaves when no one is watching, when things get hard, when you need them most, that cannot be faked. And once you know what to look for, you cannot unsee it. Number one, they can't fake comfort with your emotional needs. Picture this. You've had a genuinely terrible day, not a vent and move on kind of day, a real one. Your chest feels heavy. You need someone to just be there, not fix it, just sit with you in it. You bring this to your partner and watch what happens next. An avoidant, even one who loves you in their own way, will almost involuntarily shift into problem-solving mode, or they'll get quiet in a way that feels like disapproval, or they'll subtly redirect the conversation back to something lighter. Not because they're cruel, but because emotional need, expressed openly, activates something deep in their nervous system that reads as threat. Here's the psychological backdrop. Most avoidants were raised in environments where emotional expression was either dismissed, ignored, or subtly punished. They learned before they could even articulate it that needing people was unsafe. So as adults, when you need them, your need doesn't just register as, my partner is sad. It registers as, something is wrong and I don't know how to make it stop. The discomfort is involuntary, automatic, and you can feel it. You can feel the slight stiffening in their body, the way their eyes don't quite meet yours, the fact that they're present in the room but have emotionally left the building. So what do? Stop measuring love by what they say in calm moments. Start watching how they respond when you're at your most emotionally exposed. That response, unfiltered, unscripted, is the most honest information you will ever get about your relationship. Number two, they can't fake proximity, tolerance over time. Early stages of relationships are easy. There's novelty, there's excitement, there's an intoxicating chemical cocktail that makes closeness feel effortless. Avoidants can feel that too. They fall for people. They genuinely do. But here's what most people miss. The early stage of love doesn't require real intimacy. It's exciting because it's still slightly uncertain, and avoidance, ironically, can thrive in that stage. The chase, the mystery, the not quite having it yet, that actually feels safe to them. The clock starts ticking the moment security enters the picture, when things settle, when the relationship becomes real, when there's an actual expectation of consistent presence. That's when proximity starts to feel suffocating to an avoidant. And that's when you'll notice the slow, almost invisible withdrawal begin. It won't be dramatic. It never is. It'll be a few less texts, slightly shorter conversations, more time suddenly needed for solo activities. And when you bring it up, they'll have perfectly reasonable explanations for every single one. Think about that. Think about how easy it is to mistake systematic withdrawal for a busy schedule, for stress, for an introvert needing their space. The difference between someone who needs occasional recharging and someone who is avoidantly pulling back is this. An introvert withdraws and comes back closer. An avoidant withdraws and comes back to the same distance, or further. That pattern doesn't lie. Number three, they can't fake genuine repair after conflict. Every couple fights. That's not the measure of a relationship. The measure is what happens after. When there's been a rupture An argument, a misunderstanding, a moment where someone said something they shouldn't have. Healthy attachment looks like two people moving toward each other to repair it. Awkwardly sometimes, imperfectly, but toward. Avoidants do something different. And this is where it gets interesting, because it can look on the surface like repair. They might apologize, they might say it won't happen again, they might even suggest doing something nice together after. Dinner, a walk, something to reset the energy. But true repair requires vulnerability. It requires saying, I hurt you and I want to understand how. It requires sitting in the discomfort of having caused harm to someone you love. Avoidance, when their nervous system is still activated from the conflict, can't fully access that. What they do instead is resolution seeking. They want the conflict over, not the connection restored, and those are two completely different things. So, the apology comes, but it's thin. It resolves the surface tension without touching the underlying disconnection. And you're left feeling like you made up, technically, but something still feels unfinished. That feeling isn't in your head. That's your nervous system detecting the difference between resolution and genuine repair. So, what do? After the next conflict, don't just accept the peace offering. Gently but clearly say, I don't just need this to be over. I need to feel like we actually talked about it. Watch how they respond to that request. That response will tell you everything. Number 4, they can't fake security-based support. There's a moment in almost every relationship where you're about to do something that matters. A job interview, a difficult conversation with a family member, a creative thing you've been scared to share. And in that moment, you reach for your person. A securely attached partner shows up and makes you feel like the ground beneath you is solid. Not because they promise everything will be fine, but because their presence communicates, I'm here either way. Avoidance will often say the right things in these moments. You've got this. I believe in you. But their support has a slightly transactional undertone. It's optimized for getting you to feel better quickly, which also means getting the emotionally intense moment to end quickly. And the underlying message, even if unspoken, sometimes reads as, you should be okay on your own. You don't really need me for this. It's subtle. It's not mean. But it creates this pattern where you start pre-editing yourself around them. You stop bringing your fears as freely. You learn to process your anxiety somewhere else before presenting only the composed version to your partner. And slowly, quietly, you get lonelier inside the relationship. Let that sit for a second. The loneliness of being with someone who is physically present but emotionally unavailable is one of the most specific, exhausting forms of loneliness there is. Because you can't even fully name it. They are there. How are you lonely? Number 5, they can't fake how they handle your growth. This one surprises people. You'd think that a partner who loves you would celebrate when you grow, when you get a promotion, when you hit a personal goal, when therapy is finally clicking and you're becoming a clearer, more grounded version of yourself. But here's the thing about avoidant attachment and your growth. Your evolution can genuinely destabilize them. Not because they don't want good things for you, but because avoidants have, often unconsciously, structured the relationship in a way that maintains a certain dynamic. They are the capable, independent one. You are the one who needs them or leans toward them. When that balance shifts, when you start becoming more secure, more confident, needing them slightly less, something in the avoidance system doesn't register that as good news. It registers as a threat to the equilibrium. You might notice subtle undermining, not outright, I don't think you can do this. Something softer and harder to catch. A lukewarm reaction to your news. A pivot to talking about their own thing right after you share something exciting. A kind of competitive energy that appears out of nowhere. Healthy partners expand with you. Avoidance, without real self-awareness, try to keep the original dynamic in place. So, what do? Share something you're genuinely proud of and pay attention to the quality of their response. Are they curious? Excited on your behalf? Or is there a flatness, a redirect, a slight minimization? You're not looking for a performance of happiness. You're looking for whether their eyes actually light up. Number 6, they can't fake the instinct to reach for you. First, when something happens, good or bad, who do you call first? For most people in a genuine attachment bond, that answer is automatic. Your person is your first instinct. Not because you thought about it, because your nervous system, when it experiences something significant, naturally orients toward the person it's attached to. Avoidants, even loving ones, often don't have this orientation toward you. Their first instinct in moments of stress or excitement is to self-contain, to process alone, to reach for something individual, work, a friend, a distraction, before reaching for you. And when they do share things with you, there's often a delay. They've already processed it somewhat solo before, bringing it to the relationship, which means you're getting the edited version, the already digested version, not the raw, unguarded, real-time version that actual intimacy is made of. Here's what makes this one of the hardest signs to reconcile. They might be incredibly generous in other ways. They might do thoughtful things, show up for logistics, be reliable in practical areas. So you think, okay, they just process differently. And maybe they do. But there's a difference between a processing style and a pattern of you not being their person. Deep down, you probably already sense which one it is. Number 7, they can't fake integration. Let me show you how this actually plays out. 6 months in, you've met most of your partner's friends, maybe their family, but there's something slightly compartmentalized about the way you exist in their life. Like, you're in this relationship with them, but you're not quite woven into the fabric of their full world. Their friends know of you, but they don't know about you, the real texture of who you are, what you mean to your partner, the specifics that would only come from someone who talks about their person regularly and openly. Integration is not just about physical introduction. It's about whether your partner thinks about you when you're not around, whether they mention you organically in their other conversations, whether their world and your world are genuinely beginning to overlap. Avoidants, even ones in long-term committed relationships, often maintain a subtle but real separation between their relationship and their real life. You exist in a category, and that category, while valued, has a fence around it. True attachment erodes that fence naturally. You can't help but merge your worlds when you're genuinely bonded to someone. You bring them up. You want your people to know your people. You start planning futures that include the other person not as a guest star, but as a co-lead. The fence doesn't come down on its own with an avoidant. And if you try to dismantle it directly, they experience it as pressure, as moving too fast, as you wanting too much. Number 8, they can't fake nervous system, calm with commitment conversations. Here's a simple test that's not really a test. Have a natural, forward-looking conversation about your future together. Not an ultimatum, not a "where is this going" confrontation. Just a genuine, warm conversation about something down the road. A trip, a hypothetical shared living situation, what you'd both want in the next few years. And watch their body, not their words. Avoidants have a tell. When commitment territory is entered, even casually, even by implication, their nervous system activates. You might see it in a slight change in posture, a shift in energy, the way the conversation subtly gets redirected, the sudden emergence of so many valid reasons why now isn't a good time to think about that, or why things are good as they are, or why putting labels on things makes them feel pressured. Their words might be calm, their tone might even be reasonable, but something shifts, and you feel it before you can name it. This is not someone playing games. This is someone whose early wiring genuinely associated deep commitment with loss of self, with being swallowed, with giving up the one thing that always kept them safe, independence. And their nervous system is still protecting them from that old threat, even when you, standing right in front of them, are nothing like that threat. So what do? Stop having this conversation in high-stakes moments. Bring it up lightly, casually, in comfortable contexts. If even that produces the body language shift, that involuntary pulling back, you have information, real information. Number 9, they can't fake the moment they see you, pulling away. This is the one that will either clarify everything or break your heart a little, probably both. When you, exhausted, finally self-protective, maybe a little resigned, start to create distance. When you stop chasing, when you stop being so available, when you start to genuinely detach, the avoidant comes alive. Suddenly there are texts. Suddenly there's attention and effort, and I've been thinking about us conversations. Suddenly they're present in a way they haven't been in months. And this is the moment, this specific moment, that fools more people than any other dynamic in the entire avoidant relationship cycle. Because it feels like proof, finally proof that they care, that they were capable of this the whole time. But here's the brutal truth you need to hear, and I say this with genuine care. That activation is not love coming forward. That is attachment anxiety being triggered. For an avoidant, the loss of a relationship is more tolerable than the closeness of one. But the threat of losing it, that bypasses their defenses just long enough to produce real emotion. The question is not, are they capable of feelings? It's something when they think they might lose me. The question is, can they sustain that energy once the threat passes? And the answer, without significant self-work on their part, is almost always no. Within weeks of you coming back, or the threat dissolving, the original distance returns, because the wiring hasn't changed, only the circumstances temporarily bypassed it. Think about that pattern. Have you lived that pattern more than once maybe? Here's the thing about avoidant attachment that gets lost in most of these conversations. These are not bad people. Marcus's partner? Not manipulative, not intentionally cold. She was doing the absolute best she could with a nervous system that was shaped, long before she ever met him, to survive by keeping people at arm's length. Understanding that doesn't mean you stay. It doesn't mean you accept a relationship where you're chronically starving for connection. But it does mean you stop taking it personally in the way that destroys you. Their avoidance is not a verdict on your worth. It's a map of their wounds. What you do with that information is entirely yours to decide. But at least now you have the real information, not the performed version, not the version that sounds like love and feels like glass. The 9 things you just learned, the discomfort with your needs, the slow withdrawal, the thin repairs, the absent instinct to reach for you, the compartmentalization, the fence around their world, the body language around commitment, and that final devastating pattern of coming alive only when you leave. None of that can be faked, or rather, none of it can be hidden once you know what you're actually looking at. You're not crazy for feeling what you've been feeling. You were just missing the language for it. Now you have it.